In late 2026, artificial intelligence discovered something beneath Machu Picchu that authorities are refusing to open. Using ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional laser scanning, researchers found a sealed chamber carved into bedrock at the foundation of the entire complex. The AI analysis revealed it is not empty. There are objects inside, stone artifacts arranged in deliberate patterns, positioned at the base of a structure that has withstood 600 years of earthquakes in one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. But here is what makes this discovery genuinely terrifying. When engineers ran stress analysis simulations, they found that opening this chamber could destabilize the entire terrace system above it, potentially triggering the collapse of structures that have survived centuries of disasters. So we have a sealed room built by people with engineering knowledge we cannot explain, deliberately hidden at the foundation of Machu Picchu, containing something they considered important enough to seal away forever. And we are too afraid to look inside. But that is not even the most disturbing part. What the AI found in the walls above that chamber has left engineers in stunned silence. Let me show you exactly what these scans revealed, and why the truth about Machu Picchu is far more horrifying than a hidden room. For over a century, one question has consumed engineers and archaeologists. How did people who supposedly had no written language, no wheels, no iron tools, and no draft animals manage to build 700 terraces with drainage systems more sophisticated than modern storm drains, fitting stones together with 2mm precision that modern stonemasons struggle to achieve even with diamond-tip power saws? The site sits at 8,000 feet above sea level on a razor-thin mountain ridge, clinging to cliffs that drop 500 meters straight down. It was built with precision that rivals modern civil engineering in one of the most geologically unstable, rain-soaked, earthquake-prone locations on Earth. The terraces are not just agricultural platforms, they are multi-layered composite structures with foundations of 1,000-pound stones positioned to distribute weight mathematically, drainage layers with stone sizing that matches modern engineering specifications exactly, all integrated into an interconnected network of underground channels carved into solid granite bedrock. The orthodox story has always been simple. The Inca built Machu Picchu around 1450 CE under Emperor Pachacuti using river cobbles, wooden rollers, and human labor, creating this masterpiece in roughly 30 years before abandoning it. Even with modern equipment, building a drainage system this sophisticated would be a significant challenge. Without computers, without modern surveying tools, and without any written plans, it seems physically impossible. So when findings emerged in 2026 revealing what is really hidden beneath these stones, the archaeological world held its breath. The breakthrough came from the most comprehensive technological survey ever attempted. Using ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR scanning, drone photogrammetry, and artificial intelligence, researchers created a complete digital twin of the entire complex, capturing every terrace, every wall, every channel, down to fractions of a millimeter. The AI analysis was conducted by a team from Stanford. They fed neural networks thousands of high-resolution three-dimensional scans, looking for construction patterns, repeated techniques, tool marks, and assembly sequences. What the computer vision algorithms detected sent shockwaves through the team. The neural network had been running for 72 hours straight when it suddenly halted. The algorithm had detected something its training data said shouldn't exist. Construction techniques that appeared in Layer 1 disappeared completely, then reappeared briefly in Layer 4, then vanished again. Different teams with different knowledge bases had worked on the site across vast time periods, some possessing skills that others had lost. Dr. Martinez described the moment. The AI literally color-coded the terraces based on technique signatures. When we saw the visualization, we just stared at the screen. It looked like a patchwork quilt. Reds for one method, blues for another, greens for a third, 47 different colors across the site. We ran the analysis 3 more times thinking it was a bug. It wasn't. We were looking at evidence of multiple construction phases, possibly multiple cultures, definitely multiple skill levels, all integrated into one functioning system. The AI also detected something else. Technique signature number 7, the one showing the highest precision and most advanced understanding, appeared only in the oldest, deepest layers, and it never appeared again. The AI identified 47 distinct construction methods, 47 different techniques. This is not one culture, one time period, one unified approach. Some appear nowhere else in the archaeological record. Others match methods used by different Andean cultures separated by centuries and hundreds of miles. A few show sophistication that modern stonemasons admit they would struggle to replicate even with power tools. Technique 12 involved cutting stones at precisely 23-degree angles to create interlocking corners that distribute earthquake stress. This appears in only 3 locations, all in the deepest foundation layers. Modern engineers use this exact angle in seismic-resistant construction, but it was not codified until the 1970s. AI found it at Machu Picchu in layers carbon dated to the 1200s, nearly 200 years before the Inca Empire existed. Technique 31 shows evidence of thermal fracturing, heating stone to specific temperatures, then applying pressure at exact points to cause controlled breaks. AI detected scorch marks invisible to the human eye. The temperature required, between 400 and 600 degrees Celsius, is hot enough to alter limestone's crystalline structure. Achieving this without modern thermometers requires either extensive trial and error, which would leave evidence of failed attempts, or inherited knowledge of exactly how hot to make the fire. There are no failed attempts at Machu Picchu. Technique 19 involves cutting drainage channels that curve gradually over 50-meter spans, maintaining a 2-degree downward slope. AI measured the deviation less than 0.3 degrees over the full distance. To achieve this without modern surveying equipment requires understanding of mathematics and hydrology that should not exist in a pre-literate society. Yet there it is, carved into bedrock, functioning perfectly 600 years later. Dr. Rebecca Martinez described what they found. The site is like a library of ancient engineering knowledge, a library with sections written in different languages from different time periods, all somehow integrated into a functioning system. But here is where things get disturbing. When the AI analyzed the quality and sophistication of stonework across the site's timeline, it found something that contradicts how we expect civilizations to develop. The earliest layers feature the largest, most precisely carved stones with the most sophisticated engineering. Later layers show smaller stones with less refined techniques. The quality degrades over time. This is the opposite of what you would expect from a civilization learning and improving. It looks like inheritance and decline, like later people attempting to maintain something they did not fully understand. Techniques slowly slipping away generation by generation. Think about what this pattern means. In every other ancient site we have studied, we see improvement over time. The Egyptians built increasingly sophisticated pyramids. The Romans developed more advanced concrete. But at Machu Picchu, the best work came first. The most shocking findings emerged when LiDAR scanning revealed what was beneath the visible city, and this is where the conventional timeline completely collapses. When researchers analyzed subsurface features, they discovered something buried 8 to 12 feet below the current surface. Older terrace foundations, complete terrace systems constructed with the same sophisticated drainage design, the same precision stonework, the same engineering principles. But these buried terraces are oriented differently than the visible ones, suggesting a different phase of construction, possibly a different purpose entirely. And here is what makes this genuinely horrifying. Carbon dating returned dates as early as 1250 CE, nearly 200 years before Pachacuti's reign. When this data was published in 2020, archaeologists dismissed it as contamination. But the 2026 ground-penetrating radar proved it was not contamination. There are older, sophisticated terraces down there, buried deliberately, preserved carefully. This is the archaeological equivalent of finding a modern smartphone sealed beneath a medieval castle. Dr. Jago Cooper from the British Museum stated that either we are looking at a much longer construction period than previously thought, or we need to reconsider whether the Inca inherited and modified a pre-existing site that already had sophisticated engineering. But what the AI discovered about the visible terraces themselves is equally disturbing. Under microscopic analysis, researchers found that facing stones, some weighing over a ton each, fit together with tolerances of less than 2 millimeters, not just at showcase walls, but consistently across hundreds of meters. 2 millimeters. That is thinner than a credit card. Modern stonemasons using diamond-tipped power saws struggle to achieve that consistently. The Inca supposedly did it with river rocks and copper chisels while working on 60-degree slopes at oxygen-depleted altitude. Dr. Alexei Vanek, a UCLA archaeologist, said that every time modern analytical tools are applied to Inca stonework, we find they were doing things that make engineers uncomfortable. The precision is not just impressive for ancient people, it is impressive, period. But the tool paradox gets even deeper. Beneath many terraces, researchers found carved channels in the bedrock. Solid granite. These are not rough cuts, they are smooth, precisely angled channels designed to direct water flow at specific gradients. The AI measured these channels and found gradient variations accurate to within a single degree across hundreds of meters. Granite has a Mohs hardness of 6 to 7. Copper, the hardest metal the Inca supposedly had, has a hardness of 3. You cannot efficiently carve granite with copper. It is metallurgically impossible. So what did they use? No one knows. The AI compared the tool marks to thousands of known signatures from ancient stoneworking. It found no matches. 0. The cut patterns do not correspond to any documented ancient technology. And here is something else the AI discovered. When neural networks analyzed the variation patterns in channel depth, width, and angle, they found something disturbing. The channels are not uniform. They vary depending on local bedrock composition and slope gradient. Modern civil engineers call this adaptive design. But you cannot see bedrock composition from the surface. You need ground-penetrating equipment, core samples, and geological surveys. To design this system, the builders would have needed either to excavate the entire mountainside first to map the geology, then fill it back in, which makes no sense, or possess some method of subsurface analysis we cannot explain. A research team from MIT described these patterns as inconsistent with trial and error development. The AI found that the variations correspond too precisely to hidden geological features. This appears to be a fully formed engineering solution implemented all at once, not something that evolved through experimentation. Let me show you how the logistics become disturbing. Geological analysis traced the granite blocks to quarries 2 to 4 kilometers away, across the Urubamba River Valley, up a mountain slope with a 45-degree incline. Conservative estimates suggest the terraces contain roughly 60,000 tons of cut stone and fill material. That is equivalent to 400 blue whales, all transported up a near vertical mountainside. A Berkeley research team calculated that moving the terrace stones alone would require 1,500 workers laboring full-time for 15 years, assuming ideal conditions. But Machu Picchu sits in a cloud forest with rain 200 days per year. The terrain is so steep that modern hiking trails require safety cables. And here is what makes this truly terrifying. The 2026 ground-penetrating radar revealed that many of the largest foundation stones are buried 6 to 8 feet below the surface. They didn't just move stones weighing 1,000 pounds up a mountain. They excavated massive trenches in bedrock first, placed the stones with precision, then buried them under tons of drainage material, all according to a unified plan that would keep the mountainside from collapsing for 6 centuries. Modern construction projects of this scale require surveying equipment, CAD software, and constant communication between teams. The Inca supposedly coordinated this with verbal instructions and no written records. Where did this knowledge come from? And here's what should genuinely terrify you. When the Spanish arrived in 1532, they found Inca engineers who could build impressive bridges and road networks. But those same engineers could not explain how the polygonal walls were made. Spanish chronicler Pedro Cieza de León wrote in 1553 that even Inca nobility claimed ignorance about their finest stonework, attributing it to divine or magical assistance. That's not how engineering knowledge works. If you possess expertise to design a drainage system lasting 600 years, you teach that skill. Yet when the Spanish disrupted Inca society, the knowledge vanished completely. Within 2 generations, Andean stone construction had regressed to rough fieldstone walls. Dr. Stella Nair calls this one of the most dramatic technological regressions in human history. It's as if modern civilization forgot how to make concrete in a single lifetime. But what if the knowledge never existed among the Inca in the first place? What if they were inheritors, not inventors? LiDAR scanning in 2026 revealed another anomaly. When researchers analyzed water flow patterns using fluid dynamics software, they discovered the drainage network is not just efficient, it is optimized. A team from Purdue University ran computational simulations testing thousands of alternative drainage configurations using the same AI algorithms that optimize modern infrastructure. They tested random variations, designs based on trial and error evolution, configurations that would naturally emerge from incremental improvement. None performed better than what actually exists at Machu Picchu. Not one. Dr. James Harrison explained the implications. He said that optimal solutions like this usually emerge from iterative computer modeling. You run thousands of simulations until you find what works best. But these terraces were built once, apparently getting it right on the first try. That is not how human trial and error works. It suggests they either had mathematical modeling we cannot account for, or they inherited a completed design. Perhaps the most disturbing discovery came when researchers used seismic sensors and AI-enhanced stress modeling to simulate earthquake forces. The terraces are not just earthquake-resistant, they are designed to dissipate seismic energy in ways that mirror modern base isolation techniques. When the ground shakes, the carefully layered structure allows stones to shift microscopically without displacing. Those 2 mm tolerances actually widen fractionally during tremors, absorbing energy instead of fracturing. This is called seismic damping, a principle that was not formally understood in Western engineering until the 20th century. Dr. Esther Jimenez ran the simulation data 3 times because she did not believe the results. In her 2026 report, she stated, "The terrace walls perform like modern reinforced concrete in seismic events, but they are doing it passively, using only stone placement. I have designed buildings that do not handle earthquakes this well." Think about what this means. These people understood structural engineering, seismic damping, optimal fluid dynamics, adaptive geological design, and subsurface hydrology at a level rivaling modern civil engineering. They possessed knowledge that, according to our understanding of the 1450s technology, they absolutely should not have had. But here is what makes this discovery genuinely disturbing when you connect it to that sealed chamber. Peru sits on the Ring of Fire. Machu Picchu has survived massive earthquakes in 1650, 1746, 1950, and 2007. Each time, Spanish colonial structures in Cusco crumbled, while the ancient terraces flexed and held. The seismic engineering is not just impressive, it is intentional, designed to survive disasters. And at the foundation of this earthquake-proof structure sits a sealed chamber that the AI says contains stone artifacts, deliberately placed and carefully preserved. Why would you engineer the most sophisticated seismic-resistant structure in the ancient world? Bury older terraces beneath it, seal a chamber at its foundation, and then have your descendants claim they do not know who built it? Throughout Machu Picchu, you can see clear quality differences. The finest precision appears in foundations and load-bearing structures. Cruder work appears in upper courses and later additions. The AI mapped these quality zones, creating a 3-dimensional model showing exactly where different skill levels appear. It is as if someone with extraordinary skill built the essential structure, and then later builders added to it without fully understanding the engineering beneath. The 2026 AI analysis examined other major Inca sites across the Andes, including Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and Coricancha in Cusco. The same pattern emerges everywhere. Massive, precisely fitted foundation stones support later, less refined construction. Spanish chroniclers recorded something historians dismissed as myth for centuries. When they asked the Inca who built the massive foundations, the Inca said they did not know. They claimed the stones were already there when their ancestors arrived, done by an earlier people. For centuries, scholars dismissed these as creation myths, but the 2026 AI evidence suggests something different. What if they were telling the truth? Pedro Sancho, who served as Francisco Pizarro's secretary, wrote in 1534, "The walls are composed of stones so large and so finely fitted that it seems impossible they could have been set in place by human hands." When we asked the natives how this was accomplished, they told us the work was done in ancient times by a powerful lord named Viracocha, who commanded the stones to move into place by themselves. Even more telling, Cieza de León noted that when the Spanish wanted to add to existing Inca walls, the local stoneworkers refused, saying they no longer possessed the skill to match the original construction quality. Living Inca craftsmen who maintained the walls for generations openly admitted they could not replicate the work of their supposed ancestors. The Inca Empire was the largest in pre-Columbian America. They built 25,000 miles of roads, developed sophisticated accounting systems, and administered millions of subjects. Yet there are no Quipu records explaining how the terraces were engineered. There are no oral traditions describing the techniques and no training systems for passing down that knowledge. The alternative hypothesis, increasingly supported by 2026 AI data, goes like this. The Inca conquered the region in the mid-1400s and found pre-existing structures from an earlier Andean culture. Those earlier builders possessed sophisticated engineering knowledge. The Inca incorporated the sites, added their own structures, and maintained the existing systems without fully understanding the engineering principles. That would explain the quality variations, why oral tradition said the stones were already there, the documentation gap, and why the knowledge vanished when Inca civilization collapsed. The 2026 discoveries support this. Carbon dating shows occupation as early as 1250 CE. Ground-penetrating radar revealed buried terraces from an earlier phase. AI analysis shows techniques that do not match documented Inca methods, and the 47 different construction techniques suggest multiple builders across extended time. But the AI discovered something else. When pattern recognition algorithms analyzed the spatial layout, they found astronomical alignments that should not be coincidental. The main temple, the Intihuatana stone, and specific terrace orientations align with precision to the June solstice sunrise. The deviation from perfect alignment is less than 0.5 degrees. The AI also detected that certain terraces, specifically those with the oldest construction signatures, align with where certain stars would have appeared 800 to 1,000 years ago, accounting for precession of the equinoxes. This requires understanding that Earth's axis wobbles over a 26,000-year cycle, shifting where stars appear over centuries. This knowledge was not formally documented until ancient Greek astronomers. Yet someone at Machu Picchu, possibly in the 1200s or earlier, positioned terraces to mark stellar positions that would have been visible then, but not in 1450. The AI flagged this as temporally inconsistent construction, a polite way of saying the builders oriented structures to stars they could not have seen if they built when we think they did. Dr. Brian Bauer stated in 2026 that the possibility that Machu Picchu represents multiple phases of construction, potentially spanning centuries and different cultural groups, is looking increasingly credible. But this creates a profound problem. If the Inca did not develop this knowledge, who did? Where did it come from? And why did they bury the older terraces? Why seal a chamber at the foundation? This is where everything comes together into something truly terrifying. Ground-penetrating radar guided by AI analysis revealed a chamber beneath the lowest terrace level, carved into bedrock. The AI analysis showed walls with geometric precision, suggesting human construction. The chamber appeared sealed. Peruvian authorities have not authorized excavation, and the space remains unexplored. However, the AI revealed more than just empty space. The algorithms detected density variations, indicating the chamber is not empty. There are objects inside the chamber. The radar signature indicates stone, possibly carved stone, arranged in patterns too regular to be natural debris. When the neural networks compared these signatures to known archaeological finds, they flagged similarities to carved stone repositories at other Andean sites, places where important objects were deliberately sealed for preservation. The chamber measures approximately 8 meters by 6 meters, with a ceiling height of roughly 3 meters. The AI detected what appears to be an intentional entrance, now sealed with precisely fitted stones. But here is what makes researchers nervous. The chamber sits directly beneath the lowest terrace's main support structure. The 2026 stress analysis showed that disturbing the chamber's integrity could destabilize the entire terrace system above it, potentially triggering collapse of structures that have stood for 600 years. So we have a sealed chamber, possibly containing carved stone objects, positioned at the foundation of the entire complex. It was built by people who possessed engineering knowledge we cannot explain. deliberately sealed and hidden. Some researchers believe it might contain astronomical markers, mathematical records, or technical specifications. Others think it could be a burial chamber for whoever designed the original terraces. But here is what the AI analysis suggests that makes this genuinely horrifying. The chamber was not sealed randomly. It was sealed as part of the construction sequence. The terraces above it were built knowing it was there, designed specifically to protect it, and engineered to survive earthquakes that would destroy everything else. The seismic damping, the optimal drainage, the precise stonework, all of it serves to preserve whatever is in that sealed room. Dr. Luis Jaime Castillo offered this assessment in late 2026. He said, "Every new technology we apply to Machu Picchu reveals we understand less than we thought. We found buried terraces we did not know existed. We found 47 different techniques spanning centuries. We found design principles mirroring modern engineering, and now we have found a sealed chamber predating everything. At what point do we admit our timeline is wrong? So where does this leave us? We have 700 terraces with modern level precision. We have a drainage network functioning flawlessly for 600 years. We have 47 distinct techniques identified by AI. We have seismic performance mirroring 20th century principles. We have tool precision impossible with copper and stone. We have carbon dates predating the Inca by 200 years. We have buried terraces from an older phase deliberately covered. We have quality variations suggesting master builders followed by less skilled inheritors. We have oral traditions claiming the Inca found the finest work already there. We have astronomical alignments to stars visible centuries before the supposed construction date. And beneath it all, we have a sealed chamber containing stone artifacts, protected by the most sophisticated earthquake-proof structure in the ancient world." The orthodox explanation that the Inca built this around 1450 using rope and wooden tools is looking less like an answer and more like a comfortable story because we do not want to confront the alternative. But here's what we can say with certainty. Whoever designed Machu Picchu's terraces understood hydrology, geology, materials engineering, and seismic dynamics at a level rivaling modern civil engineering. They possessed knowledge that, according to our understanding of the 1450s technology, they should not have had. And then that knowledge disappeared. But before it disappeared, they did something deliberate. They buried the older terraces. They sealed a chamber at the foundation. They built earthquake-proof structures to protect whatever was inside. And they did all of this in a location prone to catastrophic seismic events on the Ring of Fire, where civilizations have been destroyed by natural disasters repeatedly throughout history. Kenneth Wright, the hydraulic engineer who spent decades studying the site, put it this way. He said, "Machu Picchu's terraces represent the most sophisticated pre-Columbian water management system ever discovered. They should not work as well as they do, but they do work, and have worked for 600 years through conditions that would destroy modern structures. That is not luck. That is not trial and error. That is knowledge, and it is knowledge we are still trying to rediscover." The horrifying truth is not about aliens or ancient astronauts. It is the realization that human civilization may have achieved extraordinary technological heights, then lost that knowledge completely within generations. Entire societies capable of engineering marvels we can barely replicate today existed, built, and vanished, leaving only their most durable creations. Before they vanished, they tried to preserve something. They sealed it beneath the most earthquake-resistant structure they could build in a location that would survive when everything else fell. It means our comfortable narrative of steady human progress might be fundamentally wrong. That technological regression is not just theoretical. It has happened before, recently enough that we have ruins to prove it, dramatically enough that entire engineering traditions disappeared within decades, deliberately enough that they buried their most important knowledge before it was lost. The 2026 AI scans revealed a pattern of preservation. Techniques appearing once and never again. Knowledge showing up fully formed. Solutions that are optimal without iterations. Older structures deliberately buried. A chamber deliberately sealed. All of it engineered to survive disasters. It is as if someone knew what was coming. They knew their civilization was ending. They knew the knowledge would be lost. So they did the only thing they could. They built something that would outlast the catastrophe, sealed the most important information inside, and hoped someone in the future would be smart enough to find it and understand. The AI does not lie. It processes millions of data points without bias. What it found is a site that does not fit our timeline, does not fit our understanding of technological development, and suggests not just a gap in human history, but a deliberate attempt to bridge that gap, to preserve knowledge across a civilizational collapse. When you look at those walls fitted with 2mm precision, you are seeing evidence that challenges our entire framework for understanding ancient capability. When you see drainage systems functioning perfectly after 600 years, earthquake-resistant design that rivals modern engineering, and buried terraces sealed beneath it all, you are seeing proof that knowledge can be lost so completely that later generations cannot even recognize what they are looking at. You are looking at a time capsule, a warning, a message sealed in stone. The AI gave us clarity we did not want. It showed us Machu Picchu is not an outlier. It is evidence that human achievement does not always go up, that civilizations can reach heights and then fall catastrophically. That knowledge, once lost, might take centuries to rediscover, and that advanced societies, when they see collapse coming, try to preserve what they can for whoever comes next. The terraces are still standing, still draining perfectly, still defying erosion and earthquakes. The sealed chamber is waiting beneath them. The 47 construction techniques are unexplained. The buried terraces are still there, still precise, still impossible by our understanding. The astronomical alignments still point to stars from centuries before the supposed construction date. The question is not whether the walls are impossible. The AI proved they are real. The question is whether we are ready to accept what they represent. That human history is deeper, stranger, more fragmented than we have acknowledged. That entire chapters of technological development may have been lost. That civilizations we have no record of may have reached heights we are only now beginning to understand. And that they knew enough to try to preserve their knowledge before the end. The walls are not just impossible, they are evidence of knowledge we lost. Knowledge that took generations to develop, then vanished in decades, but not before someone tried to save it. They tried to seal the most important information in a chamber beneath earthquake-proof terraces on a mountain that would survive when everything else fell. If we lost it once, if a civilization capable of this engineering could collapse so completely that their descendants could not explain their work, could only maintain it briefly before even that skill faded, what does that